Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Thursday Namaste session. Thank you for that beautiful meditation. That breath as we breathe in and out, being filled by and then extending that love which is our foundation. What else are we here for? What else could there be? All these ideas of enlightenment and illumination and all of these high concepts of spirituality really just come down to that. Being filled by and extending the love that is our very essence. Because if it is our essence and we choose every moment to be the extension of that essence, how can we not know it? How can we not know it in every moment?
Know it in every moment.
Hold on. I hear myself echoing. There we go. So, knowing that being true, we have another short lesson to launch us into our discussion. So let me share the screen here. Another one of our master teacher within lessons. The voice that you are hearing is but your own. Don't forget that. There is no voice outside of you, no master who is teaching you or guiding you. It may seem that way, and certainly in time there are those elder brothers and sisters who may be a step or two above us on the ladder, but in reality that's not true at all. In reality we are one, and that oneness is our only goal, the experience of that oneness. So here we go. You are the very cornerstone of God's creation. You are the very cornerstone of God's creation. Just drink that in for a moment. Let that sink in. You, the truth of who you are the very cornerstone, not just a brick in the wall. You know, the old Pink Floyd song, all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. No, not true. You're the cornerstone. You're it, baby. It starts with you. Without that cornerstone, the building cannot stand. Once again, you are the very cornerstone of God's creation. Upon you, notice it's you with a capital Y. Upon you has God's holy temple been built, and it cannot fail, since there is nothing created by God that could weaken or threaten the kingdom. Nothing that has been created by God that could weaken or threaten the kingdom. The kingdom is just another word for everything. That would mean that there must be weakness within the mind of God, and such a thing is impossible. If there was something within you that could weaken or threaten the kingdom, then that would mean that that is also in the mind of God, which is not true. If there is no weakness within God's mind, then it follows that there is none in yours, because, and here's the key, you share one mind. There is only one mind. There is only one extension of the love and the loveliness of God. If you would but trust this fact, then you would finally see the vision of holiness that has been reserved for you since the beginning of what you call time. That's all you need to do, is to trust the fact that you share one mind, each one of us and all reality, one mind. Trust that. First in your mind, and then in your experience. Remember, this is only about the experience of this, not the intellectual grasping. I'm so tired of people trying to prove this by trying to make themselves seem smart. You know what I mean? By sharing the words and the concepts and using them literally as a shield. was talking about this at dinner yesterday. We got into a discussion how you could use anything, A Course in Miracles. You could use the truth as a shield. Look, I understand this, but I'm not allowing it in. This is the time to allow it in. You're better off saying nothing and teaching only with your presence than using the words as a shield. This is about the experience. And what is the experience? That you share one mind. That's all. In your desire to be apart from the single mind of God, you have created a shadow that is the very essence of weakness, not strength. You can live within that shadow for what feels like an eternity, but I promise you, it's only an instant. The second the idea entered your mind, God answered and proclaimed your mind whole. This is the greatest news in the history of this world, that the second the idea of separation entered your mind, God answered and proclaimed you whole. Now, if you would but accept that. But you have refused to hear God's answer and believe it takes time to return to heaven. And here is your salvation, if only you would accept it. It does not take time to return to the home you never left, except in your imagination. It does not take time. Time has nothing to do with it. You are in heaven now, and your unwillingness to see this does not change anything. Your unwillingness to see that you are in heaven now and that you never left heaven, that you are sleeping there now, waiting to open up your eyes. That's the only thing you need to know, because the separation was answered the instant it entered your mind. And you can spin in this all you want. That's all perceptual reality is spinning inside that tiny loop called separation. And it's so small, it's not even seen by God. It's not even noticed. That's how small that little idea of separation is. But you, in refusing to accept that the answer came the instant the idea entered, allows you to spin in this tiny little place and create a whole world that has never been real. Do you see that? Time to let it go. Time to let it go. And you can do that right now, because it doesn't take any time to wake up in the heaven you never left, except in your imagination. This is the greatest news in this world, that this world is but a tiny, mad idea that was never real. So take that to the bank, cash it in, and be happy. Be happy this is true. I promise you it is. So we're going to turn to Victoria now. Vicky, are you out there? I'm scanning the... Vicky, are you there?
No, she's not here, Jimmy.
Okay.
We
Well,
had
we will
an
turn to
event.
you, Teddy.
We had an event this morning.
I was wondering
Um,
if you wanted to share that. So why don't you go ahead?
oh yeah, okay. So my son and my daughter-in-law had a child this morning. Had a girl, as a matter of fact. And there's a bunch of stuff going on, so it was a big day for Vicky. She had to get out of the house. Thought she'd be able to get on, but time didn't allow it. So um,
That's okay.
yeah,
She's
so
a
that's what
you're both grandparents once again. How exciting.
right. And she's wanting it. She hoped it was a girl, and she got it. So that's good.
Did they know that it was a girl before?
No, no, no. They didn't find. They didn't want to know until it was born,
I
which is
see.
unusual in these times. But that's what they did. So
Isn't
that's
that
what that.
interesting? I mean, there's a beautiful teaching right there. The desire to not have to figure it out
Yeah, right.
in advance.
I know. I know. And everybody does. We have another. My nephew, as a matter of fact, they're pregnant too, and they came the other day and they asked us to choose. They already found out. They gave us two different donuts, one a boy donut and a girl donut, and said, pick the donut you want. And we picked the wrong one, of course. So I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Wow. Anything else you want to share, Teddy?
No, I was just, I was sort of, I was listening to and reading along, and I don't know what to say. I sit here and when I just come in and begin to listen and see all you people, my mind just opens up, and there really isn't anything to say. All our concepts are false, and it really is only about an experience. And when the experience comes, until that time, we use a lot of words and we try to talk about it. And the experience ultimately has nothing to do with the words we use. And the words we use aren't even real in relationship to what we are in reality. So, there's not much to say. Having had the experience, I just hope to be sort of like some sort of vibratory frequency of energy that that from without words sort of helps people see that or feel somewhere that it's really okay to let go and there is nothing to fear. And all we're going to lose is what we never had in the first place. And remember, we never left reality. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
It's kind of like the experience of giving birth. A woman who has gone through that experience is literally the vibratory expression of that
Exactly.
experience. And a woman could explain to a woman who has given birth can try to explain to a woman who has not given birth, or to a man who will never give birth, can try to explain to them what that is or what that's like, but it's never going to come close to the experience of it.
No,
It's just an idea. You can share the concept, and it's the same with the awakening. We can talk, but even, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, because there are no words that can stretch that far. You try and stretch the concepts as far as you can, but they can only go so far, and they don't even begin to approach what that experience is. Just like a woman who could never express both the pain and the joy of giving birth. But any woman here, or any woman here who has had that experience, knows. And someone here said there's no joy. Well, I promise you, in this birth there is. There may be labor pains, and the labor pains only come from you letting go of that which has no value. And you can't explain that to someone. You can, but it's never going to come close. So that's why when you turn to someone like Teddy and say, well, what do you think? Well, I don't. I don't think, because there's nothing here to think about. Now, my mind may be able to do whatever it needs to do, but that's not what thinking is. Thinking ultimately is my mind joined with the only mind there is, and that is not something I can explain. That's something I can simply radiate. It's something I can simply share vibrationally. And if you catch that, if you feel that radiation, you'll want it. You'll want it, because there's something within each one of us that says, yes, this is it. This is the only thing there is, or that I want. And that's really all there is. We sit here and we use words, and those words are fine, but they never approach the altar. Anything else you want to
best
share
we
about that, Teddy?
the best we can do is help each other could increase the desire until the desire is overriding um, anything else that we would want. And when that comes, there's a point at which you get the result of your own thinking, and the experience is there. When the once the it's the different. It says that at some point in time you just know, and knowing has nothing to do with things. It has to do with totality of experience, outside of which there is nothing else, and within which you are certain. That's it. That's pretty much
Comes the
it.
moment where you know that you know.
Right. When you know, you do know. And before that, you think you do know too, but you don't. So it's just sort of interesting. And hopefully, increasing the desire and joining with all you guys
Yeah.
is helpful. It's helpful for me, because I need something to remind me to remember because we're in a condition called the forgetting.
I have the feeling that there is a progression of knowingness. I don't know this for a fact because I can only know what I know. But it does remind me of being a teenager. And whenever we're teenagers, we look at our parents and say, I know, I already know. Then when you get in your 20s, you realize, I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything when I was in my teenage years. I thought I did, but I could only know what I knew at that point. I didn't know what I didn't know. And then even in your 20s, now you're like, okay, now I know. Now I know. I got it. I got it all figured out. You get to your 30s, it's like, geez, I didn't know much in my 20s more than I knew when I was in my teens. I thought I did, but I could only know what I knew. And then in your 30s, usually, at least for me, you start to get to the point where you beginning to realize you don't know as much as you thought you did, even in your 30s. When you get to your 40s, you're starting to know a little bit. You're starting, and then maybe later on, there is a wisdom that settles in where you know. And there's knowing beyond that. But that's why it's safer just to stay in that place of not knowing. Not see, I can't even explain this because you know that you know when you're in that experience there is a knowing that is beyond this world, but still within this world I fall back into the place of I don't know. Does that make any sense at all? And I can rest there because there's no need for me to express some sort of linear knowing because that linear knowing is nothing anyway. Anyway,
Yeah, all our concepts are false. It doesn't. They're all false. They're all an attempt to know something that can only be known experientially. And like Jesus says toward the end of the book, it's either helpful or not helpful. If it's not helpful, throw it out. If it's helpful, that's great, but you're going to let it go sooner or later anyway when you get all the help you need. That's it.
yeah.
Then you're going to try to
Throw
do the same thing for other people.
throw away this course and come with wholly empty hands. That's what that means. Throw it all away because in the end you need it only to a certain point. That's obviously a line from A Course in Miracles, and it's very helpful because what it's saying is this course has served you up until this point. Now lay it aside. Now there is a new level of knowingness that even this cannot give you. So lay it aside and be empty. Once again, fall back into that place of not knowing so that you can enter into a higher state of knowing. And so it is. Thank you, Teddy. That was beautiful. I'll have to send this to Vicky later and she can hear what she missed, even though she missed nothing. There just comes a point where this becomes laughable and just funny and fun. Where what else is there to do but to laugh at this crazy idea that I have taken so seriously up until this moment? I'm looking in the back and I see the line, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. That's the experience. There is nothing to fear. All right. If there is anyone that would like to shine inside this by sharing something that's very relevant very quickly before we go to our altar session, please feel free. How about you, Alice? You always have something just wonderful to share, and I can feel you bubbling. I can always feel like the effervescence coming from the screen when I look at certain people. Good
Oh,
morning.
it's true. Words do have a place for absolute sure. They're like stepping stones, going somewhere. And then when you're there, you can thank the stepping stones, but you don't need them anymore, I'm sorry, that's my phone. I was thinking of that saying, which you mentioned quite often, Teddy. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things come unto you. Now, I was thinking about that word seek today, seeking. And when you seek, you're not there, you're only seeking. So if I say and state, I am the kingdom of heaven, and all things come unto me, or all things are mine, then the statement of that becomes a momentary experience. And I remember something. I'm also reading, rereading the Gnostic Gospels at the moment, which are really, really a lovely thing to dip into sometimes. And in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, she says something quite remarkable. Oh, I don't want to spend hours looking for it, but it's basically that the chain of forgetfulness has left her. The chain of forgetfulness is so, and I pondered on that for a long time. I'm not chained by forgetfulness any longer. I'm free from it. And I really felt what that meant for both she and for Jeshua, Jesus. And that is why, as teachers, they can help us in the same way, just sort of cut the chains of forgetfulness. Anyway, I'm using words, but you can kind of play with them and they can take you somewhere.
Thank you, Alice. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
As always. Anyone else want to share anything before we go to the altar? Anyone here at Namaste want to share anything? Yes, Craig, come and sit right here. We're going to go to Craig here.
Oh, there we go.
Let me put you on speaker view.
Very good. Yeah, I was just listening to what you were saying this morning, and I just heard this morning absorption, absorb everything, bring in anything, bring in everything. And the other day I was sitting with the thought, the feeling of sadness, and it just came in, and I wasn't trying to push it away or did you break it? So I was experiencing sadness, and I know they talk about giving everything. Don't try and figure anything out. So I sat in the morning just sitting with sadness. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have breakfast feeling sad. I'm gonna talk to people feeling sad. And it was just being able to sit with this and not judge it and just let it go. And it was amazing. And I always thought you had to, okay, you have bad thoughts and good thoughts, and you want to get rid of the bad thoughts. No, it's just the experience of everything.
Yeah.
So lately I just like get out of the head and just feel. And that's been my experience lately, is just feeling everything, feeling the barking dogs, the motorcycles, that everything you think is bad. And once you give everything to spirit or to God or whoever you feel, it just opens up to anything. And you're so free. Just that experience.
I love that, Craig. Experience everything.
Absorb everything. Yeah.
Don't judge anything either.
No.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Don't judge it. The sadness is bad or the heights as good, because it is what it is in every moment. Thank you. Anyone else here want to share anything? No? No? Turn this around. Anyone in the Zoom room want to share anything before we go to the altar? Yes, Joyce, go right ahead.
I just want to say that I, for one, am very grateful that you are all still using words. Thank you. Thank you.
And we will continue for now. All right. Thank you, everyone.